Hey everyone, Dan at Ochiko Bushcraft. Guys, I have something I am very excited to share with you today. This is the brand new, very first one out of their factory, Tentsmith 6x8 oilcloth tarp, weighing in at 3.5 pounds, which for an oilcloth tarp is very light. Right off the bat, I want to tell you, this is only available at this time through Self-Reliance Outfitters. That's Dave Canterbury's Pathfinder uh, outfit, Self-Reliance Outfitters. And I'll put that in the description. But he has set up some kind of a contract with Tentsmiths. So you order through Self-Reliance, and then Tentsmiths makes the tarp. So I've been waiting on this for about 5 weeks because each one is made as it's ordered. And this is, I've contacted Tentsmiths. This is number one, the very first 6-foot by 8-foot oilcloth tarp. And fall and winter aren't that far off. I'll be switching my gear around, and instead of using my lightweight 5x8 tarp from Bushcraft Outfitters that I've been using, I'm going to switch over and be using this 6x8 oilcloth through the fall and winter. I want to show you guys this. This thing is so cool. And got the Tentsmith tag right on it, so it's the real thing. But you have tie-out loops all the way around the outside, reinforced stitching. You have tie-out loops across the top, and a very heavy-duty reinforced tie-out loop in the middle. Flip this over, okay, to the inside. So we're now on the other side. The tie-out loops are on the inside as well. So maybe you wanted to use poles in a shelter, heavy-duty winter storm. You want a heavy-duty setup for a winter storm. You can tie this down from inside to maybe some poles that you got it laid over the top of, and also tie it off to whatever you would like on the outside. So that's just an added bonus. Tie outs all the way around, across the top, reinforced middle, and on both sides. And of course, you know, good old oilcloth. I mean, a roaring fire out here in the wintertime and not worry about sparks. So I want to try this out today for the first time, and I'm going to do my 2 favorite setups. One for when I'm out here in the summer, late spring, early fall, just kicking it, plow point off a ridgeline. So I've got a ridgeline set up here. The other one we're going to do is my favorite emergency setup, something that I'm, if I get caught in a storm or during real cold weather in the winter, I also like to use, and that's the Holden tent. So we're going to start out with the Holden tent. When I do the plow point off the ridgeline, I'm going to have to raise my ridgeline up to about head high. If you've watched my last video on my 5x8, you saw that. For Holden tent, I want my ridgeline down pretty low, and I got my prusik loop hanging off of it, so about this high is going to be the roof of my tarp. Okay, when you're doing a Holden tent, the long side of the tarp runs from left to right, this way. Okay, so my 8-foot side is running left to right. My 6-foot side is running front to back. So go ahead and start by toggling this off, and then I'll lower you guys down so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Okay, the center loop on the 8-foot side, center loop on the 8-foot side is toggled off to my ridge line. So I'm gonna lower you guys down and I'm gonna go back and stake off the back 2 corners. Okay, I got my Grants Forest Brook hatchet sitting back there. I just got some plastic tent stakes. I'm gonna go stake off the back 2 corners. And if I need to readjust that after I get the front down here, I can do that real easy. But stake down these front 2 corners now. Okay, your side. And I think I will put one more in the back to pull the back up out a little bit. I can also make a little X, 2 short poles, and tie that center loop off. You've seen me do it in other videos, and lift that back end up. But I think if I just pull that middle loop out a little bit, I'll have plenty of room. Okay, this is Holden tent. I didn't know the name of that before. I actually have done this shelter with a 7x10 off of a tree, not off of a ridgeline, in previous videos, and I didn't know there was a name to it. But one of the ancestors of a gentleman by the name of Holden contacted me and told me the history. So in an outdoor magazine article in, I believe they said 1911, this setup, along with other tarp setups, was put in that article. And in 1917, it was adopted to the Boy Scout handbook and stayed in there up until the time that they stopped teaching tarp setups and switched over to just tents in the Scouts, I guess 1950s or something. So this is a Holden tent. And basically, as you tell by the shape, I have turned my tarp into a tent. In the cold winter weather and in the storms, I put a fire right out here in front. And I have lots of room in here to bed down and stay out of the weather. That's what it is. Basically, I have created a tent. I have room to stretch out to the back, to bring in my backpack, to bring in my gear, have a nice fire going out in front, catch all that heat in here and stay warm and dry out of the storm. And you know, it's a little snug, but I've got room to sit up in here and eat a meal. And sit in front of my fire and look out at the storm and stay out of the snow. And again, if I was going to set this up for any length of time, I would make an X in the back out of some poles and tie off that center loop and pull this up so I'd have some more headroom. That is Holden tent. And one of the things I have really come to enjoy this summer is doing tarp setups that have a small signature. So I've been using that little 5x8 all summer long. And because it's not requiring a lot of room, like a 10x10 or even a 7x10, I got to have a lot of room to set that up in. It covers a lot of area. That little 5x8, I have been setting that up into, like just some real small openings surrounded by trees and whatnot, because I only need a small area. It's just a small signature. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted this 6-foot by 8-foot tarp. And I was so excited to find out they were going to start making it, is because now I have my 5x8 for the summer. And when I switch over to the fall and winter, the stormy, snowy, rainy weather, I can still make all of those small setups, in small areas, tight configurations where I just only need a small area to make a small signature. So this 6x8, as I switch over to it, it just is going to be absolutely fantastic. All right, I'm going to pause you guys. I'm going to raise my ridgeline up to head height, flip this around, and do a plow point off ridgeline. Okay, if you guys watched my last video on plow point with my 5x8, you remember that I put the ridgeline up high. And so for doing a plow point off a ridgeline, I like to have my ridgeline up about the top of my head. And the other thing I had mentioned on that video was if you want your opening on the right, on a rectangle tarp like this, then you toggle your right corner. If you want the left side open, you toggle your left corner. And I want the left side open, so I'm going to toggle my left corner. And of course I got the long side back. I'll lower you guys down so you can see better. Hopefully that sun doesn't interfere too much. It's starting to come up over the horizon now, so see what happens here. Okay, so I actually I had thought that I had paused the camera, but it was not paused, so you guys got to see all that moving around, and I apologize for that. This sometimes this camera does not do what I want it to do, so for that momentary pause of tightening up my bootlaces and things where I thought the camera was paused, I apologize. So let me go ahead and run this back corner out and stake it down. Okay, get the front two corners. And as I had said, I am working off the left corner. So this left side here is the open side. And there we go. Look at that. That is nice. I got all that room above my head. All this room to sit in here and work with, to stretch out all the way to the back. Have my backpack in here. Have a fire, two options. I can have a fire off of the front. I can have a fire off here diagonal, which is where I prefer to do it, because then the heat comes in and just kind of catches all the way around me. So there you have it. My two favorite tarp setups with this new 6 foot by 8 foot oilcloth tarp made by Tentsmiths, but right now only available through Self-Reliance Outfitters. But I'll tell you what, I am excited. I mean, we are in the middle of fire season right now. So during this hot weather, you know, I can't do fires. I'll probably use my 5x8 a few more times. But when fall comes and then fall rains come and then the winter snows, I'll be switching over to the this 6x8 oilcloth, and I am excited to get out here and to make some winter camps. This thing is just, it's something that I am so excited about. Again, 3.5 pounds, which for an oilcloth tarp, well, as far as I know, it's the lightest out there, because up until this, you know, you could get an 8x8. I think there was one place that had a 7x7, but this 6x8 gives you the smallest footprint out here, takes up the least amount of room, least amount of weight. Roll my wool blanket up inside of it, fasten it to the bottom of my pack, and I'm good. I really like this. So guys, thanks for watching Ochiko Bushcraft. And again, if you want one of these tarps, this is the very first one out the door. You got to order it through Self-Reliance Outfitters. It takes 4 or 5 weeks. Tentsmiths makes it, and then they ship it right to you. But I like this thing. I like the old oilcloth tarps a lot. Take care, guys.